Yeah.
So first, well, actually tell us a bit about Rhizome, and then
Sure
tell us what your main recollections so far have been from our conference.
Sure thing. So I am the CEO of Rhizome. Rhizome's a climate resilience planning solution that utilities can essentially use to identify vulnerabilities on the grid and then quantify the value of resilience of investments that they're trying to make to reduce the risk of future extreme weather events.
Fantastic. And as the CEO of Rhizome, you're thinking about how the utility regulators are reacting to rising challenges to the grid. You're thinking about that from a public policy perspective and also from a business perspective. You're balancing several different ones. Given that, what are the most important things you've learned so far?
Social equity. It's going to be a major piece of concern moving forward as we plan investments, not only in resilience, but as we plan smart grid investments, as clean energy investments. Social equity is going to be a major consideration moving forward. A lot of it is direction that's set by the federal government. We have a lot of representatives from the federal government here today that are interacting with states and trying to understand how various investments in all different states where you have billions of dollars being poured into the energy sector, those benefits of all of those investments, how they're disproportionately or proportionately spread across those communities where they're typically underserved, varying from things like transportation burden, energy burden, age, disability, so on and so forth.
So I've got a couple questions about that then. We know that there's some utility regulators are the state laws differ, so utility regulators have different levels, the different levers that they can pull. What are some examples of social equity or social equity informed policies that you see happening on the state utility commission level?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is it comes from legislation or otherwise state work or state direction that has been done on the matter. So typically states have their own environmental departments where they have collected a lot of data related to the communities within those states. And so now state legislation as well as utility regulators are directing utilities to better use the data that's available related to social equity and environmental justice that has already been created within the state and apply those as a layer onto the investments that they're already making, right? So again, it could be clean energy investments, it could be resilience investments, it could be looking at disparities with reliability across the system. And then what's really important is that as new jobs are being created as well, that those jobs and the workforces that are being developed are within the communities that actually need jobs to be created.
Now, social equity is not what your platform is focused on. You're focused on resilience data. How do you see Rhizome being able to implement insights about the social equity impact of energy regulatory decisions in the resiliency, the resiliency understanding your platform engenders?
Well, we saw the writing on the wall with the passing of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which is that it called for $1.2 trillion of investment being spent on air infrastructure. At around the same time, an executive order from the Biden administration directed that any federal investment going to states or going to communities, really just going to America, 40% of the benefits of that infrastructure has to be going to underserved communities. And those underserved communities are judged by a series of criteria that really help characteristically define the people who are underserved and under-resourced in the country. Some of the things that I mentioned before, income is a big one, right? Minority groups and disabilities and people where they don't have access to resources like grocery stores within a mile or don't have access to public transit and stuff.
So you're going to be able to put those insights onto a platform where they're visible alongside the cost of an investment, for instance.
That's right.
And alongside the resilience of a particular piece of infrastructure.
That's right. So in addition to a massive amount of grid resilience funding coming from the federal government, they're directing utilities to follow that Justice 40 initiative created at the federal level. We've been proactively looking at federal data sources and starting to look at state-level data sources characterizing those disparities within communities.
I've got two other questions I want to ask. I want to ask you a prediction, and I can, since you're the CEO of a data and platform company that's working to transform utility regulation, I think I can probably guess what the answer to that question is going to be, but I'm still going to ask about your predicted question. And then I would also like you to think a little bit about the audience that we have for this webcast. We have staffs of utility commissions and team members at utilities who might not be with us in New Orleans for the NARUC conference, but are still interested in utility regulation. So some thoughts for them and what you'd like for them to leave. So first, what's your prediction for the next 5 years for the technological transformation of utility regulation?
I think we're going to see a lot more technology coming into the resilience space, Hudson. And it's not only going to be on the software side of things. There's going to be a lot of hardware that's deployed to mitigate wildfires, to help predict where floods can happen in vulnerable areas, doing situational awareness around extreme weather events, and to help improve, at the end of the day, customer service in the form of resilience and reliability. Right? I think the expectation is getting higher in terms of electric service in this country. And then I think we've seen a lot of the negative impacts when things can fall short in terms of service. When we see extreme weather events, we see a catastrophic loss of life and devastating impacts to communities. So I think the technological advancements are increasing in resilience, but that's not to discount where technology is also increasing in terms of smart grid adoption to give customers more choice to their energy sources, as well as decarbonization, right? Making sure that our gas system is decarbonized and making sure that our electric sector as a whole is a little bit cleaner.
In a minute, I'm going to ask for our HData team to queue up our final live speaker, and then after that, we're going to have some introductions to the HData platform. But as our team is getting the final live speaker in place, one more question for you, Mishal.
Sure.
Thank you again for joining us. What are a couple of the thoughts that you'd like for our audience to leave with as they think about the whole picture of utility regulation?
If you care about energy policy in any respect, whether it's that your utility bill is too high, or you care about making things cleaner, things run more efficiently related to our energy system, NARUC is literally the place to be for that. We have the most electrifying discussions that are out here. So my recommendation is literally to come out, show up, and just interact with some of the folks that are around here. These sessions are great, so make sure to attend. To spend time learning from the people who are experts in this space, but then just being around and around the environment where people are making some really tough but important decisions related to the future of our energy systems and water systems. My recommendation is just to be in the middle of it and be part of those conversations.